Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call a special council meeting for June 30th, 2010 to order. First thing, as always, just a reminder, if you do have a cell phone, if you please turn that off or put it in the vibrate mode, we'd certainly appreciate it. And with that, Amber, would you please go ahead and take roll call for the determination of the quorum?
Waugh? Here. Martinson? Here. Quaker? Here. Costello? LaCroix? Chapman? Here. Olson? Weifenbach? Here. Kroger? Here. Hadcock? We have a quorum.
Very good. Now, since this is a special city council meeting, we cannot add anything to agenda. We do have one housekeeping item, and that is a alcohol license we do need to approve tonight. So the chair will look for motion to open the public comment period on item number 1, which is... We have a motion and second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion passes. I do not have a speaker request form on item number 1.
Move to close the public hearing.
We have a motion and second to close public hearing. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion passes. Item number 1. Karen, could you please read that in?
Ugly Incorporating, doing business as Bud Ugly's, 321 7th Street for retail on-sale liquor license transferred to 321 7th Street, including the following property, and more generally described as being located at 321 7th Street. My motion would be for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for approval. Any discussion on that motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion passes. Item number 2, this is an update by the programs or the presentations of the programs that are still open in Phase 3 of our 2012. The 4 I have down is the Ata Powwow Grounds, the soccer complex, performing arts, and the St. Joe parking / presidential plaza. Let's see, are the folks, I think I saw Randy somewhere in the room. Randy, you want to go ahead and come up? You go ahead and give your presentation. What we're asking for is just an update. We actually have 4 approved programs through the Phase 3 of our 2012 program, and the council would just like to get an update. So what we're asking for is a 3 to 5 minute presentation. And so if we can just please keep it to 3 to 5 minutes. Good evening. Randy?
Good evening, Council. Daphne is passing out more detailed information for your perusal at a later time, and we'll submit a copy to the Secretary for the record. Happy to be here this evening to report the progress that we've been making on this this particular project. We have just finished the pre-construction design work. Boyce Associates has done a terrific job, a bang-up job putting that together in a short time. We're ready for bid, basically, which means that we now have the product and the land site secured to move forward with capital campaign fundraising. We have set forth a resource development plan that includes bringing this material forward to we've identified about 25 major tribal casinos who have a habit of giving gift money. So we're very pleased to be able to go forward with this final documentation. We did meet with the Shakopee Sioux tribe last summer, and Chairman Crooks is very generous to meet with us, and he liked the concept, he liked the project, but he wanted us to come back and provide details of cost, and to come up with a plan. So we're ready to go back to Mr. Crooks. We're waiting for approval to go back to Minnesota to sit with them to review this project and get their consideration. We've also identified the other tribes. Hopefully we can get representatives from the Seminole tribe of Florida. We do have contacts and have been in discussion with some of the leadership there. And last week was the National Congress of American Indians conference here in Rapid City, and we had a plethora of major tribal leadership that was here, and we did our best to visit with them about this project. So now this material is fully available. We're moving forward. We're going to be meeting with the other traditional foundations, such as the Bush Foundation, Northwest Area Foundation, Ford and Pew Charitable and others that we've identified to garner more interest in this project. Aside from that, we have submitted federal grants. We're waiting for the review results of that. We're very optimistic. We did submit, I believe, a very competitive grant given that they're looking for leveraged and matched resources, and we've done a fine job with your help, City Council, to provide that we have an investment into this project. So we're feeling very optimistic about that opportunity. Also, we are looking forward to working in partnership, building relationships with other entities in the city and across the state that will work with us in cross-marketing, look at working with us with the other tribes in other nearby states, North Dakota being one of them. North Dakota is moving quickly in their economic upswing, and particularly in Fort Berthold. They've got some resources now that they're mining and doing oil exploration and processing there. So we have friends out there. Now we have documentation we need. Thank you again for releasing the funds to get Pat and his team to produce this material. We're very anxious to get out there and start knocking on doors. That's where we're at today. Any questions?
Randy, thank you for your presentation. As always, just a reminder, if you need anybody to help go out and advocate for your project, I know I've made the offer, and I'm sure anyone from the council, if you would like to invite anyone, I'm sure any one of the council
Absolutely.
Council
We've
members
got
would be
that.
happy.
We've got that in our notes.
Okay.
We're going to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Let's take up the soccer complex. Do we have representatives of, there we go. Very good. If you just please identify yourself for the record and go ahead and give your update.
Good evening. I'm Joan Martin, and this is Helen Pitch, and we are the co-chairs for the soccer complex here in Rapid City. First of all, we'd like to thank you all. It's good to be in front of you again and tell you where we're at and what we're up to. We do have a presentation.
You have a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure he's loading it up. There we
Here
go.
we are. At this time, as you can see, we are in the midst of getting started, and I just wanted to reiterate a few points for you this evening. One of them is our mission statement for this process and this event is to market Rapid City as a center of sport, events, sport conventions, leisure destination by providing these events as a vehicle for economic and competitive benefit for this community of Rapid City. Why do we need a soccer complex? Well, there's a number of reasons why. One of them, of course, is economic benefit to the community. If you look at the state high school soccer tournaments, it brings into the community about $560,000. Region 2, about $9.5 to $14 million. That's being held, those are figures from the different regions from Sioux Falls and Des Moines. Develop leaders through the future of organized sports, and that's something that we see when kids play organized sports like soccer. To encourage healthy lifestyle for the kids and adults, we have almost 4,000 kids playing soccer here in the Black Hills area, 2,500 of them here in the Rapid City area. The beauty of this complex is not just that it's for soccer. We're looking at organizing and instruments of ways that we can empower other community events at this place. One of them is the powwows. We've been talking to ATTA in regards to bringing on large powwows, numbers of 10 to 50,000 that they think that would be a normal draw for something for the Black Hills area. Concerts, we're looking at car shows, dog trials, archery tournaments, ultimate frisbee, family reunions, festivals, 3-on-3 basketball. There's just numerous things that we can do with a complex of this size. As you can see up on the screen now, where the location is, we have been fortunate enough, the city has been, to have donated 80 acres for the complex that's just north of the Flying J truck stop and in a very tourist-friendly area for Rapid City. getting started, we're looking at, and I'm going to let Helen talk at this point. Thank you.
In October of last year, we approached the council and they released funds to design, have some contractors design a preliminary master plan design. As part of this process, we held public meetings. The first public meeting, we got the input from the soccer community on what they wanted to see at this complex. We used those suggestions. WIS Associates came up with 8 different designs. We narrowed it down to 3, and then we took those back to a public meeting, and the soccer community voted on the plan that they wanted. And the plan that they came up with is this. It has 21 full-size soccer fields, 7 fields with lighting for evening play, permanent concession and vendor stands, 5 restroom facilities. That was the number 1 picked by the soccer community. Gazebos and playgrounds will be centrally located. A stadium to include field, office space, meeting space, medical triage, and maintenance. A 3,500-seat stadium. There will be 975 parking places, 8 RV hookups, and eventually an indoor soccer facility. We designed the facility to go all the way to having an indoor facility, even though we know that is far off in the future. The cost estimates for this complex are, we have our land cost and other costs to date. We will build this in phases like we have always originally planned. Phase 1 will be 12 fields, the east side portion of the complex. We'll have 12 irrigated fields plus the stadium field. Phase 2 will be the other 8 additional fields. And Phase 3 would be the stadium building for a total of $12.72 million. Currently, where we're at is we have a total required of the $12.73. The 2012 funds are $3.68. That's how much we have left. In-kind donations are $1.015 million, and to date cash contributions are $0.025 million. Leaves us a remaining balance of $8 million. Our next step that we need to do, we need to dig a well on that facility so we know what kind of water requirements we will have. And those water requirements will determine a lot of the way the construction will go out there. And we need construction documents for a total of $740,000. At this point, it's the estimated date of completion for digging the well and the CDs, we would like to have that accomplished by the end of this year. And at that time, we will have a firm estimate of the costs. Then we could go into the bid phase for Phase 1, which would be probably January and February of next year. And we will start the construction of Phase 1 during the spring or summer of 2011. So next year we should be digging dirt, which we're all very excited about. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the council's information, we do have a pack up on the dais here, information along with a CD.
Correct.
Yes, and that's the preliminary design report from Forefront and WIS Associates.
Okay, very good. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Next, we have performing arts. Who's going to give that? We're just really making presentations.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council. My name is Mike Kent, and I'm standing in for Dr. Ron Reed tonight. We do have a PowerPoint presentation that has been recently reviewed, I think, by most or all of you, and that is queued and available. I will just touch on where we're at. If that's satisfactory, that's fine. Or we can go on to the PowerPoint if you would like. This is a $3.25 million request. Phase 1 includes the renovation of the theater and the addition at Dakota Middle School of the set building and rehearsal area on the northeast corner of the building. The school board is committed to the renovation of a mechanical system for a like amount to what this project is at this time. And the overall plan of the school board's facility plan is to consolidate the academy programs, high school programs in this school, and a phased technical high school program here in 2 years when a new school is completed in the Valley Middle School. Where we are with this project, with phase one of this project, is we have our concept that's been approved. It has, we have given authorization to the design team led by Architectural Incorporated to pursue design to bid documents. We expect to let bids this fall, and we expect phase one to be complete in December of 2011. I would say, in addition to that, this is a phased project that will be in consolidation in concert with the school district's high school plans for the facility, but phase two is planned. Phase two, the Performing Arts Coalition has been raising money and will continue to raise money. I have a note from Dr. Reed that they have $363,000 on hand for the refurbing of the lobby area and the eventual renovation of restrooms to support the theater. That is as brief as I can make it tonight, folks. Is there any questions that I might stand for?
That was pretty good, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. St. Joe and Presidential Plaza. I think I saw Brian here. Do you have a PowerPoint?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. He's bringing it up.
Very good.
Good evening. My name is Brian Vulcan, president of Forefront Design and one of the partners in St. Joe Investment Group. And we're going to talk about the $2.8 million from Phase 3 that's been allocated for additional parking in downtown Rapid City. As all of you know, we negotiated and worked out a public and private partnership for our facility. This is our original concept. I think that still holds true today. It will have retail on the first floor, 350 parking stalls for a city parking garage, and approximately 100 parking spots for the rest of the building. On top of the building will be commercial office space, and in the second phase will be apartments. The reason we picked President's Plaza and we worked together is because we wanted to build an iconic building downtown, something that's going to be a destination in itself, be a lifestyle center. We want the building to be sustainable, enhance the community spirit, and invigorate the community, and at the end be a successful public-private partnership. We looked at the goals of the city and our goals for the project, and we compared those to if we did a mixed-use facility as we've proposed and are moving forward with, or you just took the money and built a parking ramp. We think that both of them initiates downtown growth and revitalization by adding more parking. But in the end, when you want to start generating more parking revenue, you need more spots, and our proposal is going to generate more spots for the city than if you built it yourself. We do think it's going to add residential uses downtown, generate tax revenues, generate TIF and 2012 type funds, and add jobs downtown. So we think the public-private partnership more aligns itself with what the city is trying to achieve with the revitalization of downtown. Let me talk just a little bit about where we're at and how this money is going to be used. This is the overall project as it stands today. I will caveat this in saying that this project is, at this point, somewhat scalable, depending on the amount of commercial office space that we put in the building. We are currently looking at a 20,000 square foot office complex, but that could go up by another 15,000 square feet, which would grow the project a little bit, and we would also add additional parking spots to accommodate that would be outside what the city's going to get. In any case, the city is going to end up with 350 parking stalls in the garage, and then about 24,000 square feet of retail space. The project cost right now is right at $17 million. You can see how that's allocated in construction, some indirect costs, some contingencies, and financing costs. I think this is the most interesting one as far as you're concerned. You can see the $2.8 million that is put into the project from 2012 funds, and then $1 million worth of land that will be part of the project. The rest will be investor capital and money from the new market tax credits. The rest will come in from a first mortgage that the development team is securing. What have we accomplished so far? As many of you saw this at the beginning of the month. We've replatted, the city has replatted the property. It's been approved for land transfer, and we're just waiting for the final approval on our financing. Before we do that, we've finished our site feasibility and our due diligence, validated our business case, and that's along with cost, scope, schedule, all the performance. We've done our feasibility and planning for the operation and management of the facility. We've got our team of consultants, construction manager on board, and we've also compared that with what we have to do to meet the bidding rules of the city so that any public dollars are publicly bid. We've marketed and leased most of our facility. The last thing we have to do is secure project funding. That has not changed from 3 weeks ago, but I will tell you that things are really starting to loosen up in the lending market, which is a good news. We've had some very, very serious discussions with multiple lenders, and we think we're going to get there. There's two things that really gave the project a shot in the arm just at this critical point. One is your extension till the 1st of December for us to put this in place before you move on to do something else with the money. And the other thing was the passing of the bid last night. I got a number of calls today from people that were watching the project, and they saw that as a very, very strong sign for what we wanted to do downtown. So we're celebrating in a lot of ways. This project has gone on for a long time. You've seen this before, and our point here is that if you look a little bit to the right, you'll see where it says new. That's the amount of time in this project that this development team has been involved. The initial developer had quite a bit of time doing what he had to do, and ultimately did not go forward with the project. There was an interim period, and in the very short time that we've actually been working on this, we've got a tremendous amount accomplished, and we feel confident about moving forward and getting this project built and completed. That's my update. Are there any questions?
Typically, we're not taking questions, just looking for a presentation, but thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. That does take us through the 4 different projects of the Phase 3 of Vision 2012. We are now ready for the recommendations from the 3 different subcommittees for Phase 4. So with that, Gary, you going first? Okay. Yep. There again, Gary, would you please introduce yourselves? And my understanding is you guys have a PowerPoint for us. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, Gary.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Gary Drews, and I had the privilege of serving on this Phase 4 as part of the Citizens Committee. And I just want to thank you on behalf of all of us from the various committees for the opportunity that we had in serving in this capacity. I believe the citizens of Rapid City were well represented on the various committees, and I think that the projects that were represented and received were well received by the committees themselves. The Phase 4, what we were dealing with is basically $33 million for this process to be divided amongst the committees. And as you're all aware, each of the committees held 2 public meetings at which time we received presentations from the various projects that were previously submitted, and then we determined through the City Attorney's Office which projects were eligible for funding from the various committees. Seems like I lost my PowerPoint, but
We'll get it brought up here for you again.
Sure.
There we go.
But the committees themselves met, discussed the projects after receiving the presentations in regard to them. Following that, the committee chairs got together because there are some shared projects along with this, and so we needed to meet to figure out where the money was going to come from for each one of those projects. Each of the committees were working with the dollar amounts that you see above. Economic development had $8.25 million, along with civic improvement, also $8.25 million, and then municipal infrastructure had twice that amount for $16.5 million, for a total of $33 million. In our consideration at the committee level, we gave consideration only to exact dollars that are anticipated coming in. We did not give consideration to any bonding for any of the projects. I'd like to, I had the privilege of serving as the chair of the Economic Development. I would just like to acknowledge those individuals that served in that committee: Dale Boydston, Cody Champion, John Lofberg, Suzanne Wilson, and then we had non-voting members from the council, Karen Olson, Patty Martinson, and Malcolm Chapman, and then we had alternates, Mel Dreyer and Matt Norman, that served on that. Lloyd LaCroix, of course, was a facilitator for this. And on behalf of my committee, they all wanted to extend their thanks for having the opportunity, and we really had excellent participation from that committee. The recommendations that are coming from the Economic Development Committee are as follows: the terminal expansion, the Rapid City Economic Development Partnership, Main Street Square, the Skyline Wilderness Park, and Black Hills Vision. And let me just remind you that what you're seeing here is possibly not the total dollar amount. The total dollar amount on each project will be shared at the very conclusion when you see the various projects that were shared between each of the committees. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Gladys, who has served as the chairman of the Civic Improvement Committee. Gladys.
There again, Gladys Storm, if you'd please identify yourself. And then.
I'm Gladys Storm, chair of the Civic Improvement Committee. And there are lots of thank yous that will be said tonight, but there can never be enough thank yous. So thanks to Mayor Hanks and to you, the council, for the time and effort that you put in to making Rapid City a great place to live. Thanks also to the citizens for the 2012 fund. We are the envy of many cities. Thanks also from my committee for the opportunity to serve on the 2012 committee. It was challenging, interesting, and fun. And here are the names of the Civic Improvement Committee members, and if they are here tonight, would they please stand? Linda Anderson, Vesta Wells Johnson, Margaret Skillman, Ken Staley, Marley Erickson, Kathleen Mays, and our representatives from the council, Ron Weifenbach, Deb Hadcock, and Bill Waugh. And thank you for your help. And now, I would like to thank my committee because, as a teacher, I would give them all an A+. They were always on time, they had their homework done, and they were not afraid to debate and discuss. So thank you. And now here are the list of the Civic Improvement Committee's recommendations. Roosevelt Park Fieldhouse, Adult Social Resource Center, Mount Rushmore Road Corridor, Main Street Square, YFS Kitchen Renovation, and Mental Health Collaborative. Thank you.
Thank you, Gladys. And with that, Scott. And we go into municipal infrastructure. Scott, please introduce yourself and your members.
My name's Scott Amos. I'm the chair of the Municipal Infrastructure Committee, and I've got allergies today. All the thank yous have been said. I would like to personally thank the council, Mayor Hanks, for giving me this opportunity to learn about my new community. I think I've learned more in the last 60 days about Rapid City than I have the previous year. So what a great way to become involved in the community and be part of the great things that are happening with Vision 2012. The Municipal Infrastructure Committees, again, please stand up as your names read. Eric James, Dick Lear, Linda Raby, Heather Smith, John Johnson, and Mike O'Connor. From the council, we had Sam Koiker, Aaron Costello, and Ron Kroger. The projects, and again, as Gary mentioned, a lot of these projects were shared. This is just the portion of the project coming from municipal infrastructure. The projects that we have listed are listed by dollar value, and that's been consistent on all the slides, not necessarily any rank order. We are presenting you a slate of projects. First project was Horseman Park Pool, Canyon Lake Dam reconstruction, the Roosevelt Park Field House, the Adult Social Resource Center, the Hawthorne Connector Road at SDS M&T, the terminal expansion, Main Street Square, and the Skyline Wilderness Park. As Gary said at the beginning, we had $33 million to work with as citizens committees, and this is the recap slide showing that, in fact, we have recommended $33 million worth of projects. They've all been listed before, so no sense saying them again. This really has been a great experience, and my thanks to the committee. I've never been on a committee where I could think and it would be done. This committee was that way. They were very serious about their undertaking. They performed due diligence on every project. There was debate, there was discussion, and it was a great experience. It was a tough experience because there was a lot of fantastic jobs submitted, and because the job's not on here doesn't mean it wasn't a good job. It's just that these are the ones that came to the top. Our work was made very easy by the support of your staff, Mayor Hanks. Trudy, Amber, and Katie. Again, you think something and it's done, and done well, and we appreciate the support they gave us. They made our work very easy. Thank you. I'd like to thank my committee. I'd like to thank the people that submitted all of these great projects. As I stand back and look at it, this is a really good cross-section of the community. We have projects representing north and south, east and west of Rapid City. We have projects representing youth. We have projects representing senior citizens. We have projects representing business and tourism. This will certainly be great for Rapid City. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And that is the end of the presentation. Let's go to Alderman Malcolm Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to weigh in and just thank the citizens of the community first who put their names forward to want to be a part of this process by joining the committee, citizens who were with projects or programs who applied for 2012 funding. Then the vision of leaders of the community from years ago to, help think about and create the Vision 2012 program. I agree with Gladys that we are the envy of a lot of communities across the country. Other communities are really struggling, and here we are talking tonight about how to invest $33 million in our community and potentially even more. So thank you all who participated in this process. I too would like to just thank Amber and to thank Katie and to thank Trudy. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. I was kind of the interface with the committees from the council standpoint, and they're absolutely right. The committee chairs are absolutely right. All we had to do was think about something and it was done. So we are creating a turnover file so that 2012 Phase 5 will go even smoother than this round did. I have some recommendations for the council today in terms of how to deal with the recommendations that came forward. I would just ask the council tonight to accept the recommendations from the committee, form a subcommittee of the council to then vet the projects and programs from the council standpoint, much like we did when the applications came in to who wanted to participate. So maybe that same 5-person committee could be formed to vet the projects from the council standpoint. Then at some point, the council is going to have to make a decision to pay as you go, or, and that's what Alderman LaCroix and I recommended last December, that the council pay as you go, and the mayor has echoed that. But on our committee, we heard from Mel Dreyer that money has never been as cheap as it is now. If we bond it, we could probably do more projects. So I think the council is going to have to make a decision here as they have this discussion. And then place these recommendations somewhere in the city process of legal and finance after they've been vetted, so that they can then get in the process and we can have a final approval from the 2012 committee, which is really the council sitting as a 2012 committee, and then make that final recommendation of what 2012 Phase 4 should look like. Again, I just go on record of thanking everyone who participated, and then looking down the line, thanking the council as well, because this was the first time we've had council members participate at the committee level. And I think those council members showed up, they did their work, they backed off when they were supposed to, and they didn't vote on which projects would come forward. So the council as a whole is seeing these projects for the first time, as the community is seeing them as well. So just thank you, and those would be my recommendations.
Very good. Let's go. Anyone else on the council? Questions, comments? Let's go to Alderman Ron Weifenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to reiterate Malcolm's thank yous, but I would extend the same thank yous there. But I would also extend a thank you to Malcolm for putting the process together, and Lloyd, who's not here tonight, but and I will thank him personally again. And there was a lot of work that went into organize this and making it run smooth as it did behind the scenes. There was a lot of legwork from Mr. Chapman. I appreciate that, and I think I probably speak for everyone on the council that feels the same. Thank you.
Further discussion? Further discussion. Chair would look for a motion to acknowledge. We have a motion and a second to acknowledge. Any discussion on that motion? Jason, would it be appropriate to just acknowledge, or do we want to acknowledge and accept the report?
I think an acknowledgement is sufficient in this case. Anything beyond that, though, I think would go beyond the agenda and should be on Monday night's council agenda.
Very good. Any further discussion? Let me just close by saying, I truly believe that 2012 has made a huge difference in Rapid City. Unlike anything else that has ever impacted the quality of life in Rapid City, we are so blessed. And I was just reminded of that when I picked up the Sioux Falls newspaper this morning and saw that they're trying to build an event center, and they're trying to figure out how to come up with $350 million. We have one of the best civic centers in the upper Midwest. We have amenities which add to our quality of life, whether it's indoor ice arenas, whether it's indoor aquatic center, whether it's our park systems, the performing arts, the Doll, the library. 2012 has truly blessed this community, and I tell you, the folks that had the foresight to actually put this program together deserve an awful lot of credit. And of course, the one that comes top of mind, of course, is Mayor Ed McLaughlin, who was mayor at the time. I know Dr. Sloisner, Dr. Lytle, and others were very much involved, but what a difference that has made in Rapid City over the last 15 years. With that, we have a motion to acknowledge. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion passes. Chair, look for a motion to adjourn. We have motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.